R9AA. No. Mr. Clerk, R9AA.
R9AA, discuss scheduling special commission meeting for North Beach Historic Designation.
Okay.
All right. So I'm seeking to have a special meeting of the commission relating to the boundaries of the local historic and neighborhood conservation districts in North Beach inside of the National Register footprint that's in the North Beach Master Plan. I've been, requested to have us do a deeper dive as a commission, which is certainly in our authority to do that. First of all, I want to start by saying I believe we have consensus on a number of really important things. I think we all, and we'll see, maybe I'm wrong about this, but I think we all agree that we want to enhance the protections for all of the blocks within the National Register Historic District, and that the height, scale, and compatibility with the neighborhood is what needs to be protected. But I do want to note that the master plan, a couple of times over the past month or so, people have pointed to the master plan and said, well, the master plan already did this work and it already has these boundaries. But on page 2.48 of the master plan, under finalizing boundaries, it does say that further study may be necessary to determine the exact boundaries of any new local historic districts and neighborhood conservation districts. And there's only two groups that have had the opportunity to perform that further study. One of them is our own city planning department, and one of them is the Historic Preservation Board. And those two bodies have reached different conclusions. The planning department went through every single block, walking and driving of the areas in question, and as Debbie Tackett testified at the HPB, they did their best to find the areas with the largest concentration of the most significant buildings. They recognized different degrees of contributing and prioritized based on what they knew was going to happen with public works and so forth. So what that tells you is that the planning department recognized in their activities a need to prioritize. At the Historic Preservation Board, they said, we are the Historic Preservation Board, we are not the sea level rise board. And while that may be a concern throughout Miami Beach, the statement was made, I don't see staff would add that as a reason not to designate something. That's not our purview, and I really strongly object to that. I think is inappropriate. So I thought that was pretty interesting. The National Register boundary was established in 2008 and 2009, which was long before we knew what climate change was or sea level rise was or anything else. And so I think if that's how Historic Preservation Board is going to look at it, I'm not going to say that that's the right way to look at it or the wrong way to look at it. But as a commission, we need to recognize that that's where their recommendation is coming from. It's not a holistic recommendation that takes climate science into account. So we really can't take their recommendation without further scrutiny and the input of others who are going to think about sustainability and resilience and the city's plan for public works with street raising, seawall elevations, etc. So for us to make a good decision, we need to rely on all of those things. So I would recommend, as I said, that we have a special meeting of the commission. We would need to have it within the 60-day clock on HPB, which means we would have to have it, I think, like the first week of December. And perhaps we have AECOM come and talk to us. Maybe we have FEMA. We have the Resiliency Communications Committee. Maybe Dover Coal themselves. I'm not sure if Dover Coal is here today. But I would ask that at this special meeting we explore some things. First of all, what is a conservation district and what safeguards can it afford a neighborhood in terms of height, massing, assemblage of lots, architectural style, and design standards? The process and timeline. One just practical consideration is whether we decide to adopt the boundaries of the local historic versus the conservation district as it is in the master plan or not. No matter what, we're going to have to come up with 5 votes out of 7 agreeing, whether we agree to adopt that or we agree to modify. What I think would be really unfortunate is that we just sort of, don't take a moment to dive in deeper now, kick it down the road, let planning and legal spend a lot of hours and cycles, writing to something that in the end we can't get 5/7 for. I think that would be a real shame, and I worry that some neighborhoods could be left without protection if that happens. So I think that's what's important. I want people to understand is that, again, I think we have consensus about the footprint itself, and that we want to protect height, scale, and compatibility on that entire footprint. But how you do it, we may not be in agreement with. And the fact is, I don't know how we all feel about that. So I'd like to request that special meeting
Okay, so you want a special meeting?
to be held prior to December 11th.
Prior to
Because
this-
that's when the clock expires and it's moot.
Okay, all right. Hold on, we got 3 people here. Okay, Commissioner Rosen, you were first. You begin, okay?
It's very interesting that you're bringing this up because I was recently sitting in on a court case in Bay Harbor. They have a historic building, the Continental, and the county HPB board designated it historic. And then the county commission went and overturned the decision and gave the developer the rights to tear it down. And it has been tied up in court now for years. So this really is, if we decide to overturn the expert opinion of the HPB board, we could really be opening ourselves up to a legal problem. And I would suggest that anybody in North Beach who was promised historic districts should then just sue us, because they could keep us in court forever. We have expert boards to give expert opinions. We paid Dover Cole this amount of money to create the master plan, and then on top of it, it was ratified by our expert board. So the commission could move forward and could overturn 2 different expert opinions, but I think it would open us up to some sort of litigation. And more than that, I think we're going to disappoint a lot of residents. But that said, I would move forward into your workshop.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Malakoff, and then Commissioner Grieco.
I think
Well,
it's very...
excuse me, but I believe this was a special meeting.
Not a workshop, no.
Because
Commission
action may be taken.
Exactly.
Okay.
You're right. Okay, Commissioner Malakoff.
Yes, I think it's very important if we have this special meeting that we have present historic preservation, the director, Debbie Tackett, that we have representatives from Dover Cole, specifically Jason King and Hernan Guerra, one or the other or both. I think that we also need perhaps Dominique Bellou from the Historic Preservation Board. I think one member should be present. And I'd like Debbie to specifically talk about the Secretary of the Interior standards, because I believe there's a huge misunderstanding of what a local historic district prohibits people from doing. Under the Secretary of the Secretary of the Interior standards, if a building has water coming up, as Commissioner Aleman talked about, because of the low flood levels, a building owner does have things that they can do. They can actually demolish the building and build a new building in context with the buildings around it. If it's surrounded by 3-story multifamily buildings, they can build another 3-story multifamily building, and the fenestration of the windows and the levels of the openings should be contextual with the buildings nearby. And they're not supposed to be replicas of MIMO. They're not ever supposed to be copies. They're just supposed to be compatible. And they will be built higher because of the flood levels, and so they will be higher buildings, but they still can provide the same amount as the building owner had previously. I think there's a feeling, if we go with the local historic district, that everybody's hands are going to be tied and they're not going to be able to protect their properties from rising sea levels, and I believe it's untrue. And I think that we need Debbie to give a good description of the Secretary of Interior standards so that everybody understands that it does not tie property owners' hands.
Okay, Commissioner Grieco.
And we also need design guidelines to go with it.
Okay?
Yeah, I'm just saying maintain.
All right, so you want to, so there's do we need to make a motion for this to have a special commission?
Yes, sir.
Maintain the district.
Okay, so Commissioner Aleman, do you want to make a motion to set this meeting?
Yes, I would like to make a motion to set this
Okay.
meeting prior to December 11th.
Is there a second?
But don't we need an exact date?
Okay.
Well,
Yeah, let's work
I
out the
think I
date.
put- Did
I
put
think,
one in my-
Commissioner Aleman, you wanted it before the expiration of the 60 days from the Historic Preservation Board's recommendation.
Right. Just in case the commission
December
decides to
10th
take
would
action.
be 60
right?
days.
I'm sorry?
December 10th would be 60 days.
Right, and remember,
So prior to that.
remember, Ricky, you've got a scheduling issue that first week.
Yeah.
So
Because originally we had that commission meeting.
anytime before December 6th will be fine for me.
Right, because the commission meeting would have fallen within the 60 date. Yeah, so
The 5th?
originally.
You guys do the Monday the 5th?
I can do the 5th.
And again, we may decide to make no changes other than what is here, but the point is to have good dialogue. And I agree with both of my colleagues.
Right.
And I respect the expert
We
opinions.
do
but
Wednesday?
So
We do Wednesday the 7th
Wednesday the
instead?
7th?
Ricky can't.
no,
No,
that's
yeah, I can't because it's.
Baby time.
that's baby time.
Oh, right.
Can I make a recommendation? I mean, we're
November
already
23rd? I
we're already
guess.
here on the 29th. We're already
You mean
here.
for the Muhammad Ali thing?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be hard. This is going to be a whole
It's going to be a
brew.
2-3 hour
It's
meeting.
going to be a brouhaha.
We got to eat our Wheaties. This will be a good
Yeah.
one.
Don't.
Just try to consolidate our schedules, guys. Just,
Tuesday, the 5th works for me. You guys want to pick dates? First, second?
Why does it have to be Raul, does it have to be called a commission meeting or just be called a meeting that has action? Does it have to be called a?
Well,
Well,
you
let's
can
actually
set the
just-
commission meeting now.
5 of us.
What Commissioner Aleman wants to make sure is that since the Historic Preservation Board has already recommended that the Planning Department prepare the designation report, the City Commission has 60 days from that motion to consider
5th
it
is
and
okay.
modify
I'll
or
have to just change
deny
my
that
mind.
request.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor. So can you go over the process, like, educate me? So
Sure.
So HPB, they passed certain guidelines. They passed the map as it is.
Right.
60-day window starts. What happens? We take no action. After those 60 days, what's the process then?
If after 60 days the commission takes no action, then, and Michael, Eve, correct me if I'm wrong, but I've reviewed this. So at that point, the planning department goes ahead and prepares the designation report based on the city commission's recommendation, following which it goes to the Historic Preservation Board, then it goes to the planning board, and then it comes to the city commission, and at that point, the city commission can approve or not approve the historic designation by 5/7 vote.
And that would be an
So the city
ordinance or 2
commission
readings.
always has the final say upon the designation. What this preliminary step does, Commissioner Grieco, is it gives the city commission a 60-day window following the HPB saying to planning, go ahead and prepare the report. The commission has 60 days to say, don't prepare the report, or let's modify HPB's recommendation and prepare the report with reduced boundaries, with increased boundaries, blah, blah, blah. But it gives the city commission a comment period prior to HPB going ahead and preparing the report.
It could also give staff additional time if they request it to prepare the report and the guidelines.
And when does zoning in progress trigger?
Well, right now you have sort of like
Well,
a
there's
moratorium.
already-
I know there's is there still a moratorium in place?
Yes.
Yes.
At this point, there's a moratorium on demolition permits.
But you also have
the whole area.
within those areas that have been designated by HPB, you have the same kind of moratorium, but through the HPB ordinance.
Okay. So even after that 60 days, there's a whole slew of things that still have to happen.
That's correct.
I would have been,
Okay.
less.
That's correct. And if you want to put it that way, Commissioner Grieco, the special meeting that Commissioner Aleman requesting is really the first action taken by the City Commission. There is a subsequent action to be taken which approves or denies the
And
district.
would those be, it's another 2 readings? Would it be 2 readings?
Yes. No, 1 reading.
No, it would be 2 readings
it
at
two-
that time. It's an
forgive me.
ordinance, but it would be at the end of the year period.
So it has to go back to HPB after after planning
Yes.
does the report, and then has to go to planning board too?
Yes, because the actual report has to be prepared, the designation
All right,
report.
everybody, I think everybody wants to leave. So
Okay.
let's just
Sure.
move this
Can
along. Okay.
I do want to just address what Commissioner Malakoff said, because, I mean, I agree with her, but it just concerns me so deeply that the HPB said, we don't care about climate change. We're not going to consider sea level rise.
No. They
right,
said they
all
want to
right.
protect it, and then individual property owners can mitigate on their own.
So that's why I think
We
it's
have you.
important.
We gave you the height increase. I voted for the height increase, and it was an agreement. It was a
We're all-
height increase
let's get
versus
through
for
this.
historic districts, and now you're going back on your word.
No, I'm not. I
Yes,
want
you
you-
are.
Ladies,
Commissioner,
ladies,
let me just.
I apologize. I have you on
Ladies.
camera.
I'm
saying
agreeing that we
you were
need to
going
protect
agree
the
to
height
historic
and the scale and the
districts.
compatibility. I said that. For the
You
entire
said
footprint.
I will accept the
Order in
historic
the court.
district as drawn by Dover Cole.
order.
What happened to that? What
Order.
happened to your word?
Please
Okay, you wanna set a time?
Time for the commission meeting on December 5th, please.
How about 2 a.m.? Sounds like a good time to me. So no one will show up.
Anytime
It'll
after
be
9.
perfect.
Anytime after 9 a.m.
What everybody wants, because I'm probably making a very quick appearance there, so I don't
What
really.
day is this?
I don't know if
December
it's
5th,
morning
Monday,
better for you.
December 5th.
Okay.
This is a really important decision that affects
just
people's
letting
property
everybody-
rights. So it's really
I know.
not a joke at all.
Guys, I'm just letting everyone
it's
know.
very serious.
Mondays in general, and I can't tell you what Mondays in general are the worst for me just because that's a heavy court day. I know in advance
Okay.
that's usually going to be a problem for me, especially in the mornings if I've got a trial set.
Later?
Those are the trial days. I have to at least be in court in the morning.
Make it in the afternoon.
I can do.
Afternoon?
I can probably do PM. Yeah.
Is that okay? John,
What
PM?
did he say?
He
PM?
can do late in the day, later in the
Fine.
day.
Fine. When?
Did Ricky leave?
And you're going to need a 5/7 vote
Right.
for anything that you do.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay.
Recognizing that if we don't get 5/7 now, not only does it just punt it down the road, but it punts it down the road about a year from now.
Okay. All right. So you want to say 3, 4?
Yeah. 3?
Okay. Everybody okay?
Monday, December 5th.
Can we take a preliminary vote on how we would vote right now?
No.
Why would you do that without the
Kristen, we don't
testimonials?
let this
You know
be
what,
heard
if-
out by everybody.
Although,
What?
if we can do the next morning, you don't want to do it too late in the day. Can we do it the week before? Myself, sorry. Is there time the week before?
Thanksgiving?
Oh, no, not.
No.
Is that what? So Monday at 3? Is that
Okay.
where we're at?
All right.
Good for me.
Michael, Kristen?
Yeah, works for me.
Okay, great. All right. By acclamation. There we go.
Commissioner Ariola said he would agree.
Okay, great. All right. Terrific.
December 5, 3 p.m., we will advertise.
John? The,
Could you please, I guess, Michael, can you see if we can get Dover Cole, either Jason King or Hernan here, as well as
Sure, we'll
Michael
contact them and
Ballou
invite
or
them to
somebody
attend the
else
meeting.
from the Historic Preservation Board to come?
Sure, of
Can you
course.
invite the entire board to come?
Dominic, no, we can't. Because I don't,
We'd have- As long as the meeting is published, right?
Yeah, we can.
it gonna be
Invite
published?
the
It
entire
could be
board.
published.
I would like
Public
Jack Finglass here,
ACOM?
Kirk Pascal, everybody.
And ACOM and Dover Call.
ACOM,
and somebody
ACOM.
from
could
ACOM.
advertise the
ACOM
meeting and
is
the whole board could.
Secretary of
Okay,
Interior.
that's
and-
fine. Yes, maybe
Okay.
at the Secretary of the
Uh,
Interior.